Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say, it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Tuesday. That means we have good old Buddy Martin here in just a second. Second portion of today's show, we're going to be joined by a former Auburn Tiger football player that played for Pat Dye. We'll hear some Pat Dye stories. Frank Stankunas. He owns a big concrete company here in the Southeast, and he's a new sponsor. We're going to have him on talk about his playing career. He's an old Swanee Bulldog from Live Oak. But first, before we get to Buddy, congrats to the men's Gator tennis team. They move on to the Elite Eight. They're the number one overall seed. Also, the men's golf team is out at the NCAA Regionals. And baseball has a big weekend series against the Arkansas Razorbacks. And softball cranks up in the regionals here on Friday. Florida plays at 2 o'clock. But first, let's go to the Titan MR hotline. And we're going to be joined by the glorious host of the Buddy Martin Show every Monday through Friday on Facebook Live. You can check him out about 9 p.m. Eastern. He's a late night sports talk guy. Good morning, Buddy. How are you?
Morning. I'm thinking about moving that show up. I'm looking to experiment with some new times this summer. Maybe go to 8 o'clock a couple of nights and see. Our audience seems to like it later. Good morning to you. Hey, Shane, it says right here, the swamp is back. Right here it says that. When this email,
yes, it is.
The swamp is back. Have you ever worn face paint?
I have not.
I have. Let's put it on one day. We'll get our face paint on. We'll just fire it up.
Well, I wore eye black, but I didn't do the face painting. I wore eye black.
Yeah. We look good. We look a little orange and blue face painting one day to the show, just the heck of it.
We could be true fans. So 100% capacity come football season. Yep. I think we're getting back to normal. I still don't understand, Buddy, why the softball regionals is not going to be 100% capacity. If you watch what went on in Tuscaloosa at the SEC tournament, you watch Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, Arkansas, all these baseball ballparks around the South, they're packed. We can walk wherever we want right now without a mask on. I don't know why over at KDC Shoal Presley Stadium come Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they can't pack that joker out. I don't understand it.
I don't know either. It's above our pay grade to figure that out. But I did watch the softball. There were a few seats in there. But you're no doubt about the fact they were roaring for sure. And I think we're going to see that eventually here. The question is, and maybe we could talk about this before the segment's over, is how far back will the Gator football crowds be? Because if you roll back the clock and think about what was going on, they were not selling every seat in the stadium before the pandemic.
No.
Now, the question becomes, how does it respond? You can work one of two ways. People can say, well, I'm not ready to do that yet. Or they can say, you know what? I've been pinned up here. I'm so tired. I want to get out. I want to go to a ball game. Talking to fans beer last night about it on the show. He says, I can't wait to go to a jam-packed stadium or whatever. So we'll see how it responds. But the tendency has been, if you look at history, all the way back to 1929, the year the big flu outbreak they had, and Spanish flu and the war and all that stuff went on. When the Roaring '20s came along, man, they busted loose. They couldn't stand it any longer. They went out and they just consumed everything like locusts. That's the way the history tells us. Will that happen? I don't know, but it's going to be fun to have ball here.
Yeah, it is. I think with the SEC network and all the games, as we mentioned many times, being on TV and different broadcasting, you can stay home in your AC and watch it. But I think people are going to be excited to get to the ballparks this year. However, that's why I think you're going to see eventually Scott Strickland has talked about taking some seats out of the swamp to make it a little more comfortable for people in the future. Joseph says here on Facebook Live, Buddy, I think COVID will help selling out the swamp at least for this coming season. John also says Florida, Alabama will set a new record attendance. That I'm anxious to see those Florida Alabama tickets are going to be pretty pricey for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You going to sell your tickets, buddy?
I don't have any. I got out of the ticket business about 10 years ago. But I do think that, obviously that's a circle game, as they say. Florida has two tough out of division opponents this year, Alabama and LSU. Of course, Alabama's at home. That was that third game. And that's going to be kind of an interesting test because I would think it'd be a night game. I would think, although I guess CBS gets.
It's going to be 3:30, buddy. You can book it.
Is it?
I'm just guessing.
Yeah, you're probably right. CBS is going to pick that one. They're going to take it. Yeah. So anyway, look, I'm not all bad with what the pandemic has brought us, the ability to put everything in our living rooms. You're a TV critter. You like to watch TV. So, and I love sitting home on Saturday and watching football being played all over the country and flipping back and forth. And I'm a 12, 13-hour guy on Saturdays. And I'm not a fan, so I don't go sit in the stands. And when I go to the press box, it's a little different. It's not great. Florida's press box is not what it used to be, by the way. But I'm happy watching it at home. The only thing I miss is the access to the team and the players and the coaches. And that's probably all going to be done by Zoom anyway. It doesn't matter. So things are going to be different, Shane.
Yep. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. May's your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane, receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with Buddy Martin here, John says, is this the last year that CBS has the SEC games?
I don't think so. I think
it's
got
a couple more years.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple more years.
Mm-hmm.
Florida's going to be back at full operations. I think pretty much they're pretty much doing that now from a workout standpoint and all that. I'm pretty sure the entire SEC will be a packed out. I think people are more excited, buddy, about being able to tailgate.
Yeah.
That's
true.
That's where the atmosphere of the college football games comes, is from the tailgating before the game. And
that's a great point. It's a great point. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, it's camaraderie. I have a friend, a former business partner, used to tell me, he'd been going to games forever, said, it's not the game, it's going to the game. Mm-hmm. It's all the pre-game hoopla and the tailgating and the fun and whatever. And you're right. I mean, we talked last night on my show. Franz Beard and I were at the 2007 LSU Florida game, where there was Franz says this more. I know the cop said there were 90,000 in the stadium and at least another 90,000 people outside the arena. I've never seen that many people at one time at a game. And now you're getting more and more of that. So what would it be if they packed around the Swamp? Another 90,000, 180,000 people at a game? I mean, I don't think we'll see those crowds, because there's some people who just aren't going to go in big crowds no matter what you do. But the Swamp does need some energy. We all need some energy. We have to relearn this thing about how to go to a game and how to be a fan,
Yeah, it's going to be Alabama weekend is going to be crazy. You can go ahead and book that because, as you mentioned, I have friends, buddy, that just drive up here just to tailgate.
Yeah.
They don't even go to the damn game. They sit out and watch it on their big screen out in their little tailgate spot, which I don't. I've never quite understood that, but while you drive 2 or 3 hours, come sit in a lounge chair.
Be with their friends. Be with their friends. That's why.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Buddy, we talked on your show last night. You're excited about NFL football now.
I am.
Obviously because your relationship with Urban, I think a lot of Gator fans and people that are Jaguar fans are excited about Urban's their new coach. But you got Trevor Lawrence coming there. You got maybe Tebow. We still don't know how that's gonna unfold.
Right.
But then you got Trask down in Tampa. Obviously, he won't be playing, and we don't know when he'll be playing. But the Bucs are your defending national Super Bowl champs. So, Buddy Martin, have you bought the Red Zone or whatever it's called, the NFL ticket, so you can watch all these teams?
I haven't yet. I canceled it 2 years ago because I lost interest in the NFL. And it wasn't anybody I wanted to watch that badly, so I couldn't watch. You get most of your games on regular TV. Now, people in your market are different than people in my market because we don't have the CBS affiliate, here in this market that you have in Gainesville. And so I wind up watching out of the Orlando market. They control everything we do. So I found myself not watching but 1 or 2 games. So I canceled. Now I've got to rethink that, because can you buy the individual games? Can I subscribe to just the Bucks, or do I have to pay the whole $600, $700? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't want the whole NFL package. If I could get the Bucks, or mostly on in the Jaguars. And yeah, I think it's really, I feel a certain excitement in the air about football season beyond the Gators because of what's happening. And don't forget Gus Malzahn in UCF. Now that's going to be a little bit of a new thing for us. They start rolling up big scores and winning, we're going to be watching some UCF stuff every now and then. So you got that in Central Florida. I don't know what's happened to South Florida. They need to go hire somebody else as a coach or something.
Well, they just did. He went year one. They hired Brad Scott's son.
Yeah,
he's a longtime FSU coach, South Carolina coach. I think he did a decent job. I think they won 2 or 3 games in year one. I don't even have the Gator schedule, and I'm embarrassed that I don't even know it. I think we play in Tampa this year, don't we? Don't we play South Florida in Tampa?
I'll have to look it up.
I'm going to have to look it up right now, or we're going to have somebody.
I think we got eight games in Florida, I believe.
I guarantee our loyal listeners know the damn schedule, and here we are.
Oh, yeah, they'll tell you in a heartbeat. I'll look mine up, too, because I got to print it out. But
yes,
yeah, I think
we play the Owls in the Swamp from Florida Atlantic, and then the next week we travel to Tampa to Raymond James and play the South Florida Bulls before Alabama rolls in here. So yeah, I was correct on that. So we got
good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, so a lot of folks in Tampa will get to see the Gators play. That'll be the most people South Florida plays in front of all year long down there.
No doubt about it. Which brings up the point. It's your show to decide what you want to do. If you want to discuss it, is the idea of Florida as a football market now has really become really inviting. And it's almost like it was in the 80s when Florida, Miami, and FSU were really good in the 90s. Well, they were all really good, those teams. And now you got the NFL, which now becomes more interesting. It was kind of boring at some point. The Bucks brought it back, as you point out. Then you got Urban, and you got possibly Tebow, and you got Lawrence, and you got the specter of Kyle Trask sitting on the bench. What happens if Brady gets hurt? He gets a chance to go in. All that stuff. And then you got Malzahn scoring points. And if Tampa and South Florida ever starts playing, you got some competition. So my question to you is, are there teams now nibbling around the edges of what was once all Gator Nation territory?
I don't think so. They may be trying, buddy, but we are the University of Florida, We're the flagship university of the entire state.
Yeah, I know. So that didn't last forever.
Well, it always has, and it will. I mean, regardless of even when Florida State was in their heyday, it's still the University of Florida. So,
all right, son. Hold on, son. Let me take you back and pull the years on you just a little bit here, all right? I go back when there was a little tiny school in Tallahassee called Florida State. And everybody said, well, they'll never beat us and never match what we do. We're the Florida Gators. You go to sleep at the wheel and things happen. And we know I said
they were still in their heyday, but we still, from an alumni base, it's not even comparison. There's no comparison to any of the other schools in the state.
Shane, right? Don't get arrogant like a Gator now, okay? Don't be arrogant.
It's a fact. It's a fact.
Yeah.
You don't think there's more alumni, buddy? You don't think there's more alumni in the state of Florida that went to the University of Florida than any other school?
People. You got 72,000 people going to school, according to Mike Bianchi, UCF now, and you got now the Orlando TV market is bigger than Miami. True. So things are changing, Shane.
UCF does have a ton of students that go there, but I guarantee you 80% of the students that graduate from the University of Central Florida are more Gator fans than they are Central Knight fans.
Possibly. But Shane, it's changing a little bit. all you ever are is around Gator fans. You don't go, you don't, maybe a few fans from Mississippi and your buddy from Auburn, but outside the other world, there are people who are not Gator fans who are looking for something to. I know one guy who's a big bull Gator here who got tired of the whole scene at Florida and started following other teams, and it happens.
How the hell's that happen?
Huh?
How can you be a bull Gator and then start following another team and supporting another team?
Because he felt like the University of Florida was going the wrong direction academically and otherwise. Nobody around here could get their kids in school, even though they were.
Well, that's a whole other story. Don't get me started.
But it's all part of it.
Don't get me started on that one.
Yeah,
that whole thing pisses me off.
Well, now you know the story of my friend who said, "You know what? I'm not giving my money to those guys anymore." When you got two kids who are not just his, who are really brilliant students and terrific A++, high SATs. No, you can't get in Florida.
Well, buddy, that's what you just said is the reason why the student section sucks at Florida in the last 10 years is because nobody that goes to school here grew up going and watching games in the swamp. The people that are going to school here now are out-of-staters or people that rather be studying, which is nothing wrong with that. But all the people that grew up wanting to be Gator, there were kids that went to the swamp watching games, watching Tebow play. Yep. They're in school in Tallahassee or they're in Orlando at UCF.
Or UCF or USF. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I have a nephew and niece, actually grandnephew and niece, both who go to Florida, who great students, barely got in, and they got in by having to go to Santa Fe or go online courses, barely got in. They're both going to graduate. But these kind of kids used to be slam dunks that get into Florida. You're right. They're not people who grew up watching Tebow or Spurrier or Shane or whatever. It's a different group. And until you get that student section back, the heart of that's what I'm talking about. The base, the whole base of what we got here. We don't have the support of the kids, the students. A lot of them aren't interested in the sport. And there's things are changing and TV markets are changing. It's different. And so you got to hang on.
I'll tell you how it's changed. Because, I do a pregame show on Saturdays and then I go to I do my pregame show. I have to park in the Union because it's in the bookstore there with Steve Russell. Yeah. Then I go do my tailgate deal with my buddies. And then depending on how the game's going, sometimes I like to leave like maybe after the first quarter or at half, get home, get settled so I can watch the second half, watch other games. I can't tell you how many times I walk through that student union back to where I park and there are people in there studying. Now, like I said, let's take nothing away from the academics because that's what we're here for. But I guarantee you in the 90s and the 2000s when Urban was here, there wasn't nobody in that damn student union on Saturdays when there was a game, a pitching wedge away going on in there studying. You know what I'm saying? Because those students wanted to be there. So we're getting off on a different tangent here.
We are.
But
you got all angry and you got mad about it. You're fighting now. You're mad at the eggheads now. You're all angry. Huh?
I've preached a lot about the admissions is not right with with some of the students they select. Whenever you got legacy kids wanting to come here that are tremendous students and they have to go to UCF or Florida State, it ain't right. Are you tired of being living with chronic joint pain? There are new breakthrough treatments at QC Kinetics here in North Central Florida that not only alleviate your pain, they speed up the healing process. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Speaking with Buddy Martin on the Titan MR Hotline, we're going to be joined by Frank Stankunas, former Auburn football player, get some Pat Dye stories, talk about his business he's got going on here in North Central Florida and pretty much the entire Southeast. Well, buddy, before we let you go, we kind of got off on a tangent here. Let's switch gears from football. Obviously, baseball, big weekend series against Arkansas. Softball, the SEC regionals crank up this weekend. I want people to go. Buddy, you remember when basketball season was ending and all these guys were leaving Florida and the Gator Nation was in an uproar. Mike White did. Dick Vitale posted a thing on Twitter, but it was written on ESPN.com, and it has all the rosters of all the Power 5 schools and even the mid-majors, pretty much every conference, all the comings and goings of the players that have left and come in. it's so long I couldn't even skim through it. And so that's why I think until people really start following sports and not just focus on your school and worry about your school, you'll see how the landscape of college athletics is changed dramatically. And, people want to talk about recruiting. Recruiting, in my opinion, is going to be very, very small.
It's over
of the program now.
National Signing Day mania is over.
Transfer portal.
I agree. I'm with you. You've been saying that for a while, and I haven't seen that list, but I'm not surprised. And Mike White's going to rebuild. There's another coach out there whose name I won't mention, not at Florida, he's in the Northeast, and it's a pretty good sized school. I was talking to his father recently, and his father said his son was really upset about the transfer portal about a month ago. He said, "You know what to do about it." As all coaches are, I understand that, and I would be too. And I said, "Tell him the transfer portal taketh, but the transfer portal also giveth. Go get you some ball players." And that's what he's doing. Not because I said it, but I mean, it's you point out. Look at the rosters. It's the way of life today.
I mean, seriously, go to ESPN.com and read this article. It tells you every school, who left and who's coming in. It's so damn long. I got tired of looking at it. Really? We got a couple of Facebook Lives here. Sean says, brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. He says, I'm 100% in agreement with the words coming out of Shane's mouth for the last approximate 5 to 7 minutes. Steve says, UF wants to be a top 10 university. This is part of, hey, look, Steve, I'm all for that. And we are a top 10 university. But when you got kids that are diehard Gators that are getting full rides to Harvard and Yale, let me repeat what I just said. Yep. Full academic rides to Harvard and Yale and are being denied to come to school.
Can't get in Florida.
There is a problem. There's a problem because they're in-state kids and they rather have out-of-state or international flavor here, which I get it. But those kids want to also not be great students. They also want to be a part and be part of the student body, and they're not being able to. And that
you're
really
right. You're right. Absolutely right on that. And just to look no further than where you're from in Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama, it means a lot to go to school where your daddy or granddaddy went and play for the Rebels or whoever it might be. And it used to be kind of that way here. I don't know that it is so much, although there is some of that good Gator blood. It matters more when you lose to Georgia if you grew up in Florida, doesn't it?
Well, there's no question. There's no question. And, when kids come with mom and dad to the ballpark as a kid and you think you're going to go to school there one day and you want to be over there on that student section, and then it comes time to go to college and you're a tremendous student with a high GPA and you made a 36 on the ACT, a perfect score, and you got to end up going and sitting in Tallahassee and rooting on the Seminoles or sitting in, South Florida or Central Florida. That's why I believe majority of those kids are Gator fans, and I could be wrong, but they're having to go somewhere else. Buddy, before we let you go, PGA Championship cranks up Thursday at Kiowa Island. I've never played that golf course. I've played several courses in Hilton Head. Your thoughts? You ever been to Kiowa?
I played Kiowa. I played one of my best rounds ever at Kiowa by accident. I'll tell you why, because I'm a high ball hitter back when I played. And you get the ball up in the wind, you're dead. And it blows like no place I've ever played. It really blows there. It's going to change the way guys play now. These Texas golfers, they all say they can hit it below the wind, all that stuff. Maybe it will favor a guy like Jordan Spieth, although I don't think Jordan's right yet. He didn't seem physically like he was there. He kind of faded, didn't he, last weekend and in the final on the weekend. But no, I've played Kiowa. It's a beautiful venue. It's kind of our little version of Pebble Beach, and I look forward to no one likes this talking about golf but you and I. So, nobody else.
I disagree with that. I think we've gotten some people interested in golf.
Really?
I really do. But like I said,
let's see a show of hands. Who likes golf? Let's see a show of hands.
But okay, so let's get your picks. I'm going to pick probably the same guys I'm picking today. When I pick with our Peachland Dentistry, JC and the QB picks tomorrow. So who does Buddy Martin? I'm going to give you get to pick 3 guys. Who you think is going to win the second major of the year?
Am I winning every week on golf? I think I am.
I'm sure you are.
I don't ever win anything, Shane. If I'm beating you, you're in trouble. Yeah, I'm going to go the guy that's due for a breakthrough, who gets a straight ball, who can control his ball in the win, I think, John Rahm, who's kind of faded, but he can really, if he's rolling it, he could be good. I'm still going for Jordan Spieth. He really worried me the way he kind of fell out there on the weekend after playing really good. Maybe he's not over the COVID yet, And then who wouldn't love Rory McIlroy, who's a great story and he's a great ball striker. Rory's down to one thing. He's got to putt. If he makes some of the worst putts sometimes, his misreads, he misses them by 2 feet. But boy, when he's hot and rolling and striking the ball, he's great. So those are my 3 guys, John Rahm, Jordan Spieth, and Rory McIlroy. Who you got?
Well, first of all, Daniel says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon. He says golf rules. So we do have one golf.
All right, Daniel. That's the one. We know we got one. We're going to work one every week.
I'm going to pick Daniel Berger, the Florida State Seminole. He plays a nice low trajectory fade. Came in 3rd last week, playing really good golf. I like Berger's game. I'm going with my youngster, Xander Schauffele. I think he's eventually going to win.
You pick him putter every week, dude.
Well, he's going to be you can book him. He's going to be in the top 5. He's going to give me a chance.
Player.
And I'm going with a youngster who this is a cash cow, buddy. I'm sure you sponsored some of those golfers back in the day that tried to make on the tour. You gave them, a couple grand here and there, and you get a little kickback percentage. If you did this with this kid, you would be making money every week. Victor Hovland.
I know.
Victor Hovland is in the top 10
bucks,
no matter what.
Would he take $50? I'll give you 50 right now.
Yeah, so I'm going Victor Hovland, Xander Schauffele, and Daniel Berger are my 3.
Listen to you. You're not going to the big boys at all.
No. Well, the big boys hadn't played great recently. Think about it. Who's been winning these tournaments?
DJ, and of course we know DeChambeau, my guy. He's just not.
He can't hit it in play. I don't give a damn how far you hit it.
No, I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you. And we, there's still some golf out there, some good players up there that I think will show up. But DJ needs to start playing.
He does. Brady, buddy, let's listen to the This Day in Sports brought to our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. From now till May 31st, get our preventative maintenance plan for $169 and save almost 40% off the normal cost. Any maintenance schedule between now and May 31st, you'll be entered to win a Nest thermostat with installation. On This Day in Sports back in 2004, remember old Randy Johnson, the big pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks? Big lefty?
I do, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He became the 16th pitcher to throw a perfect game. He beat the Braves 2-0. Perfect game. That's pretty damn good, isn't it? Perfect game.
Yeah, that I never had a perfect game. I came within 1 out of a no hitter, but I did. A guy from Alachua got scratched out of basically didn't feel hit. But no, perfect game. That's almost freakish.
All right, well, buddy, who you got on the show, the Buddy Martin show tonight?
Well, tonight I'm going to have the show pony. Chris Childers is going to be on with me tonight. He's always good for college football, and then we've also got Lee McGriff, and we'll talk to our buddy David Malter from South Florida. So a good show tonight, 9:00 on Facebook Live.
Yeah. We got a couple of Facebooks here. Mary says, I have a great nephew that had to go to UCF, and his family goes all the way back to his great-great-grandfather who graduated from Florida. Yeah,
there you go. That's it.
Trust me, I could go off all day long on the admissions, how they select.
You know what makes you feel like sometimes, Shane, is that the old country saying when you talk about the administration or the president or whoever sets the register or whatever, is the old saying, they ain't from around here. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't right. It's not right to give. I mean, I understand you shouldn't have politics involved in it, but, you think you get a little preference there for a kid like that.
Well, again, if they have the qualifications academically, then it's a no-brainer. But when you're choosing somebody from Montana that has the same test scores and GPAs and all the other stuff that is involved, instead of a kid in Lake City whose grandma went here, his dad played baseball, his granddad played football. It just ain't right. It ain't right in my opinion.
You're right.
So anyway,
I agree.
All right, buddy. Good luck to
All
your
right, man.
golfers this weekend. We'll talk to you next Tuesday,
too.
man.
All right. Thank you, Shane. Shane Matthews. Thank you, buddy.
That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. We're going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Frank Stankunas, president of Silverback Concrete Company. .co is his website. Silverback Concrete is the name of his company. Former Auburn Tiger. We're going to talk about his playing days under Pat Dye. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, M.M. Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance, Silverback Concrete Company. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Palmetto Moon, Skechers, and coming summer of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline. We're going to be joined by my good buddy, Frank Stankunas, former Auburn Tiger. Played his college ball under Pat Dye. He's now the president of Silverback Concrete. What's happening, Frank? How you doing, my man?
What's going on, my man? Doing good here.
Yep. Oh, well, Frank, we got a lot of Gators that listen to our show, but we also have people throughout the Southeast. And I want to go back to your days. You're from Live Oak. You went to Sewanee High School. You're a tremendous football player there. First off, who all recruited Frank Stankunas, and what made you become an Auburn Tiger?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying tremendous. I don't know about that, but I tried to get after it. But my freshman and sophomore year, our football coach was Coach Branch, and he kind of ran a triple option. And then back in the day, they only showed a few games on TV, and I always wanted to be J.C. Watt, so I would always watch what he does, try to emulate that on Friday night, and then my junior year, they let him go because we went 5-5, and then they brought in Mike Pittman, and Mike Pittman says, "You know how to throw?" I said, "Not really." So he signed me up for a quarterback camp, and it was called the Gus Purcell Quarterback Camp in North Carolina. And back in those days, that was led by all of the college football quarterback coaches. And man, I can remember going there, and Coach Pittman told him, "I got the number one quarterback in Florida." And man, they stick me in group one. Brad Johnson was in the group. The old boy that played at Illinois, Jeff George, that sucker could throw a football 100 yards, man. I could barely throw that thing 45 yards. They had me catching passes the first 2 days. And but they taught me how to throw the ball there, and then, you know, playing for Mike Pittman, man, it was just awesome. We were 8-2 and 9-1 or something like that. But we never went to state because Tallahassee Godby was in our district, and they never let two teams go. We would battle them, man, 20 to 21 or 18, 14, something like that. And we'd sit at the house. They'd go on and win state 55-0. Then they moved up a class to 4A, and then Swanee won four state championships after that in the late 80s with Matt Fryer and all them boys. Gant Couch, he played for the Gators. But when getting those wins, I had Danny Ford from Clemson, Bobby Bowden, Galen Hall, Howard Schnellenberger, and then of course Pat Dye was my main five that I visited.
Yeah. So when you took your visits and then you're trying to decide where you wanted to spend the next 4 or 5 years of your life, what was it about Auburn? And I guess was Coach Dye, was he a good salesman?
Man, Coach Dye was an amazing salesman. I mean, he'd come in. First of all, he had Coach Sullivan, and I was being recruited as a quarterback. So Coach Sullivan would come in, and he'd bring a football, and we'd just go out in the backyard and toss football. Coach Dye would be cooking in the kitchen with my mom or something, he was, and so Coach Sullivan and I'd go toss football, come back in, we'd eat a little bit that whatever Coach Dye, my mom prepared, and man, he knew how to get after them mamas. So my mama would they'd leave, and some other coach would be coming in, and my mom would be like, "Come here, Frank, I need to tell you about Coach Dye." I'm like, he was a great recruiter when it came to mamas.
At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Frank Stankunas, former Auburn Tiger, here on the Titan MR hotline. So, Frank, when you go to Auburn, I mean, obviously you're playing high school quarterback, but did they pretty much tell you, look, man, you ain't going to be a quarterback in college. We're going to move you over to the defensive side of the ball?
Well, playing at a small school in Live Oak, I mean, if we just played both ways. Right. Bill Reagans played for Florida State, played both ways. Matt Fryer played both ways. I played both ways. Just about 6 or 7 of us, we just played both ways. Special teams, I mean, we didn't even get kickoff off, man. They just Coach Ken and Coach Pittman be like, if you don't like it, leave, boys. That's just the way it is here. And so I had like Clemson and Florida State were recruiting me at defense, because and then when I got to Auburn, my shoulder, man, I just had shoulder issues because I had an orthoscopic in high school my senior year, and it really never healed up, man. So I'd have a great practice, and then the next day I couldn't even pick my arm up, and I was like, man, bump this. I'm gonna go over there on the defense side and try to crack some skulls. Because our defense back in, if you remember, man, 87, 88, I mean, our defense was number 1 in the country. We only gave up maybe 6 points a game, and y'all can check it out on the computer. I know it was for a fact. Nobody ever scored on us. But offenses were a little different then, big fullbacks and stuff. So I just loved the defensive side of the ball. I loved his. We'd get in them team meetings, and I was like, man, I was just ready to play, even though they redshirted me. So, but no, they were going to give me an opportunity to play quarterback. My shoulder would just swell up after a good practice or whatever, throwing about 50, 60 passes.
So, Frank, when you look back at Auburn, as you mentioned, the SEC back in those days, you were late 80s, early 90s. It was a different type of league. It was a lot of, great running backs, the running game, and great defenses. When you look back at Auburn, is there one game that stands out in your mind that you always think of that brings great memories?
Well, I remember in 1989, Florida came to our house, and I mean, man, that Emmitt Smith was just off the chain. They'd run. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I got cursed out so bad by Coach Dye on the sidelines for missing Emmitt about 3 or 4 times in a row. My mama cried that when she saw me. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, Mama, it's fine." After the game, but we held Emmitt under 100 yards in 1989, and I was very proud about that because they were giving it to him, toss sweep left, toss sweep right, and my job was on the wide side of the field is to hit that big old fullback and try to turn Emmett in, but that was a tough job for me, man. But I think that was I had a couple of good tackles, but one of my best tackles against him is just because he had to jump over one of his linemen. That's about the only time I could get a good clear shot of it when he was off the ground. And but that was fun. We won that game in a 4th and 11 in the back of the end zone because your defense was off the chain too. They were busting us in the mouth too. So, but I remember we won that game on like a 40-yard back of the end zone where we hit Shane Wasden. And the place went crazy, That was a great memory to me.
I'm trying to remember, who were the quarterbacks for Auburn when you played?
So we had Jeff Berger was my redshirt freshman year, and then we had Reggie Slack for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then he's the one that hit Shane Wasden in the back of the end zone, 89. And then Stan White was a freshman my junior year, and then he was our quarterback for 4 years. Yep. And as you know, Stan White, he's a great dude. He had 2 good years. His junior year, they beat him down, man. He would almost quit football, and then he comes back his senior year and has an undefeated season. Of course, we were on probation then too, but he had, I think that was in '93, his undefeated season. He was a great quarterback, great dude from Birmingham.
Yeah. Hey, Frank, so what was your record against Alabama while you were at Auburn?
Now, I'm going to tell you something. We used to bust them big suckers in the mouth. I ain't lying to you. In 1989, they came to our house for the first time ever. And because the Bear said he's just never going to play in that SHIT hole. That's our community, Auburn. And because we always played in Birmingham, and it didn't matter if it was their home game or our home game, they got all the tickets, so, but the first time they ever came was 1989, and Alabama was ranked number 1. And I think we were either 9-1 or 8-2. I can't exactly remember, but we put it on them big boys. We wore them out 30-20 that day. That was a great day. It was a great day for Auburn history. But I think when I was redshirted, we beat them, and then I was 2-2 against them.
2-2, yeah. So being a former Auburn player and having to deal with Alabama these days, they basically have built a juggernaut up there. What's it like for the Auburn faithful when you bring up the word Crimson Tide?
Man, let me tell you something. I was at the game where, just 2 years ago, where we beat them boys. And again, they were probably number 1 again. They're always number 1. Man, they turned on the music. We was dancing in the field. I'm 50 years old. Almost broke my leg trying to jump over the hedge coming out of the stands, dancing in the field. It's always fun to beat Alabama. And I didn't know much about it because I grew up in Live Oak. So, my rival, I always watched Florida State. Those were great days too, And so I get up there and, I didn't even know nothing about Alabama. You could care less about them. Man, it wasn't the first 3 weeks. You learn the fight song at War Eagle, and you learn how to hate Alabama. That's just life.
Yeah, there's no question. So you brought up a good point. Early, I think your first year they still had the Iron Bowl in Birmingham at Legion Field, and then they went home and home. I know you didn't get to play in a lot of the Iron Bowls there in Birmingham. But do you like it home and home, or would you have preferred it to stay in Birmingham?
No, I love playing Alabama at Auburn. That was amazing, man. I bet you there was 100,000 in the stadium and 100,000 out of the stadium. Man, I got a funny story. So we'd come out of our dorm room, and 2 of my best friends. My best friends were middle linebackers and wedge busters. They just the crazy dudes on the team. So we're walking down single file coming out of the dorm, going to the stadium, and I got the wedge buster in front of me. His name's Chris Jones. He's from Leeds, Alabama. And that dude, back in those days, we'd tell the kicker, you kick it in the end zone, we're going to kick your butt. I don't care what Coach Dye says. You kick it to the 1, and we're going to, because we want to go make a play, you know.
Right,
so,
right.
Man, we walk into the stadium. This is about 4 hours before kickoff. This crazy fan jumps in front of CJ and starts screaming at him. Man, CJ headbutted that boy and knocked him out right in the street. I mean, one of our own fans. You know, I was like, dang, man, this is some crazy times when my man hits our own fan headbutted him.
Yeah,
well, you know, just don't
crazy.
jump in front of the wedge buster, man. But that was a crazy day.
Before we talk about your concrete business, you got a good Pat Dye story for us?
Well, I got, you know, Coach Dye, and I guess the reason when I was in the 10th grade, my dad gave me 2 options. He says, son, I have no money for college, so you're either going to be a Marine or you get you a football scholarship. So that's kind of the household I grew up in. And my dad was an awesome guy, you know, 6'5", 300. He was a Marine, college football player. He's in the Hall of Fame now at Western Carolina. He played pro football. But so to me, my mentality was I'm going to be a Marine or I'm going to play football. So I already kind of had that. I guess that's why I loved Coach Dye so much. Man, he was just a hard-nosed guy. When he walked into a team meeting, you could hear a pin drop. I don't care if we were all laughing, 100 football players laughing. When he walked into a room, as soon as he stepped foot in that room, a pin would drop. You could hear it, just total silence. And so, you know, we just had to respect him. Our Tuesday practices after Saturday, I mean, they were tougher than the games, man, because, I mean, who goes first on first, put the ball on the 5-10 yard line, give the offense 4 plays, go score. I mean, this is 3 days after playing Tennessee, Florida State. I mean, we're all sore. Next thing you know, it was just a bloodbath out there, man. You know, of course, it was different times. I don't even know if the players hit each other during practice anymore, but we were getting after it wide open on Tuesdays, and I'm sure you were too. That's just how it was back then. But he was just a tough, hard-nosed dude. And in the wintertime, when we did our workouts, I mean, people would throw up literally walking to the indoor football field called the Bubble, just knowing what they're about to go through. Some of them big linemen would just be throwing up before we even start. I'm like, come on, guys. But he was, you know, he just instilled a work ethic in us that I carry on today in concrete, and I carried on with my kids and my you know, and our teammates with Silverback Concrete.
Speaking of Silverback Concrete, you've been in the concrete business for quite some time. You actually poured the concrete for Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Just tell everybody, you know, what areas of the country, the Southeast, that y'all work in, and what Silverback is all about.
Well, thank you, man. So, you know, our company name was Southeastern Concrete. And what would happen was if we bid a school in Savannah, Georgia, they would ask me, are you the Southeastern out of Georgia, Texas, or Florida? So we just did a rebrand last year, and we came up with the name Silverback Concrete. And, you know, I love the name. I love the color of the silverback. A silverback gorilla, he's earned his stripes, man. Every silverback that's the leader in the jungle, he's got scars on his face. He's got them black backs trying to get him. You know, I feel like that way with us. You know, I've had my ups and downs in business. We try to do it right. I'm thankful to have my sons working for me, and you know, I got to coach at Kanapa Hall Middle School, and I've got about 8 players that I've coached throughout the years. They work with us, and you know, we just try to. We're not the smartest. We just try to outwork whoever we're going against and give the customer what they're paying for.
And
but, you know,
go ahead.
But no, I was just going to say we do a lot of work for in Celebration Point and in Spurrier's restaurant. We did that. They came in, and as you know, it's a beautiful restaurant, man. Of course, I haven't been in it since it's been built, but we had to go in, and it was already built, so we had to go in and do all these underpinned footers, which we put about 700 yards of concrete underneath that we would dig out underneath, you know, working like little moles on there, putting rebar and we build a foundation so they can build that big second floor bar upstairs. And there's a lot of hard work, but we love working for a local company here called Viking Construction, and we do a lot of their work, and Trip Northfleet and Skip Harvey, Charles Perry. I'm building a big school in Virginia right now, and it was about a 10,000 cubic yard school for Virginia. It was a hard bid job. I was very excited about our team because it was 100 degrees, and our team poured 3,000 yards in 5 weeks, and got them ahead of schedule 5 weeks, which is huge in the construction industry. So it allowed the Cleveland Construction to push that job. So they were very happy with us, and I was happy with my sons for working 80-hour weeks for 5 weeks straight.
No doubt. Now, Frank, if just your local residential customer wants to like pour a driveway or a slab in the back to put in a basketball court or what have you, y'all's company does that as well, right?
We do, and we'll also provide the concrete. So we're the only local company that provides ready mix. We're excited about that little division we added because it's called volumetric ready mix, so we can mix it on site. They look like big dump trucks. We bought those trucks out of Canada, and we'll have 3 of them. I got 2 of them right now, and I got another one down on the way. But we do barns, house slabs. I love helping the community. I was real excited about my son, because I always talk to him. I said, look, man, we have to serve others, and I was so happy that we found out that his kindergarten teacher lost her husband, and she wanted a new driveway. My son just volunteered, so he goes out, gets a couple guys, and he takes out the concrete. We put it back in, and that's just a way we try to serve and give back to the community too. I can't do them all for nothing, but sometimes we can.
Yeah, well, that's good stuff, my man. I appreciate you taking the time to join our program, talk a little Auburn football, tell some stories about Pat Dye. Appreciate you talking about Silverback Concrete, and we'll make sure we send people to that website, and y'all continue doing tremendous business, my man.
Hey, thank you, Shane. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your friendship over the years, man.
Yep, that's Frank Stankunas. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. Going to take our final time out of the program. When we come back, we'll wrap up this Tuesday edition. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Harder Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back. Center State Bank is becoming South State Bank, but we still put business first. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State will still have 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. I want to thank Buddy Martin and Frank Stankunas for joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. Make sure you check out his website. It's awesome. It's silverbackconcrete.co. On tomorrow's program, folks, we're going to be joined by JC. We'll be having our Peachland Dentistry weekend golf picks for the PGA Championship in Kiowa. We're also going to have Eric Castaldo, former Gator baseball player, who's also the color guy with Jeff Cardozo on the Gator Radio Network. So we'll get his thoughts on the big weekend series coming up against Arkansas and postseason for the Gator baseball team. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there, folks. See you tomorrow. Take care.